So, thank you everyone for being with us for these past 3 days and for the past 8 hours. It's a durational performance. We're getting into Xieteching territory soon. We wanted to take the pulse of the room somehow to see like what is the blood sugar level and heart rate and all these things. How much can we hope to extend with a discussion and with something that will not be a plenary session as such, but would nevertheless should somehow allow the opportunity to ask questions to the speakers of the day, something that would be a minimum courtesy, I think, to the speakers and to the audience, because there was no such opportunity during the day. So at least that will certainly happen. So if somebody has a question for any of the presenters today, there should definitely be space for that.
I already see someone waving no from the back, and I have to say that we feel a bit strange not really wrapping up those 3 days, but we also aware that we went very long, and I also think that Manuel's performance now summarized a lot of what have been told in the last 3 days. So maybe we just finish like that, and hopefully we meet, we talk, and is there a question? No. Okay, so.
Hi, Hi, my name is Wen Yao, and I'm a local artist, a performance artist, and I do research on performance art as well. And actually, I feel quite uncomfortable these few days when I stay here. I stay through all the days. And actually, I feel, thank you, Manu, for the performance. Actually, it's great. It sort of connect to some of my reflection these few days. And actually, I like Danny's comment yesterday. Like, okay, what's the point to put up a symposium like this? And does it relate to the cultural development in Hong Kong? And actually, I'm not sure if you guys know that there is another big event going on in Hong Kong organized by some grassroots artists. I can call them grassroots because there's no resources for them. But they organize a performance art lab, and you can get a leaflet there. And there are a lot of international artists and local artists are meeting there and having they create a lab because they have discussion, they have performances and workshops, etc. And I feel uncomfortable here because sort of like when you're talking about performance, and I was thinking, okay, what kind of performance that I am imagining is sort of a bit different from what I have heard here. I don't think there is only one kind of performance in the world or whatever. But I just think, I don't mean you don't care about performance, but somehow, when actually as an artist, when I work with institutions and when I do research as well, I have to work with institutions. And I was wondering, how much do you care about performance? I don't mean you don't care. It's a stupid question to ask, do you care? Of course you would say you care, but actually, when we talk about performance, but how do we, do we really care about the practice of performance itself? Or
I think I can't really think of many other events where more, and this is not, let's say, the merit of Anna and I, because we didn't really plan it that well. This was really something that was brought in by the speakers over the 3 days. There was this incredible diversity of performances, if you want, of dances, of choreography, to use all these terms that were used, of so many things that would not even commonly be categorized, we put in this category so many other things that would be conventionally in other forms of arts and geographies, and of course, and centuries, and certainly different decades of the 21st and of the 20th century. Why would you? I'm quite puzzled that you would nonetheless have the reaction that this would in any way a monolithic understanding of performance. It's actually quite baffling that after these 3 days this would be a reaction somehow, that that this offered a monolithic understanding of performance. So
can I say
yes,
one
please,
more? Sorry, I'm a bit emotional. And actually, when you talk about institution, it's all about inclusion, exclusion. And then, when I talk about the performance art lab, of course, they don't include some other artists as well. And what I'm thinking, actually, for example, when you see performance has been consumed by the institution and make it as a way of, how to say it? Actually, when you consume performance art or performances as a kind of just like what Anthony made in his presentation is really great. When artists take it for granted or take the institution as part of their practices as well. And performance actually once it used to be very anti-establishment or very challenging. But then when it has been institutionalized, actually is it losing its power? Actually, when I say
we discussed about that yesterday.
Yes, sorry. No, maybe. Well, the thing is that it's unproductive actually to try to end on that note of saying if there's a parallel event. Yes, there are events. There's cultural production happening simultaneously. This is one proposition where, as any Congress and when you go to Congresses, what you are confronted with is precisely the many views and many genealogies, and it's not about that you're writing the dogma of the new turn of performance. And I just feel actually, again, that it's unproductive to bring, again, the words of Danny yesterday as where did these resources come from, as if trying to build, again, in this case, an unconscious guilt of being international, no? And in the way that you see it as oppositional to that grassroots locality. Again, just have the opportunity, you're in Hong Kong, there are things that are happening, either grassroots or international, with more resources. No resources. This is a Congress, you come here to learn, to see different genealogies. It's not about diminishing all the wonderful talks that have been happening, that have been so inspiring to have here, no? And just to feel on that note that it's unproductive, no? This situation, no? Or this dichotomy, no?
Okay.
I completely understand your, or I think I understand your fear about the institutionalization of the performance, but I think that unfortunately performance is long ago institutionalized. That we are not now in a situation when somebody is attempting to do it, but that it's very institutionalized practice, I was stunned 2 years ago when I realized that Laban Dance School in London, which is known as one of the most classical dance schools in Europe, has program in performance art and body, and I've seen the work of 5 students who are cutting themselves, putting food on their bodies, walking blinded through among the audience, etc. So it's highly repeatable, highly conventionalized, highly ritualized type of institutional practice. But somehow I think that we are in the moment when we maybe should think what kind of consequences performance art brought into the art context and how we can organize ourselves around these consequences, and not only how to think in these terms that are easily, we know that all of these attempts of artists to pierce through the system and break it as a system, after a while became something that system easily copes. It becomes part of video clips, of popular culture. We've seen Sex and the City, you know. So it's something that easily becomes part of our everyday practice, you know. Neoliberal capitalism knows how to deal with the freedom of speech. Neoliberal capitalism knows how to deal with the naked bodies much better than we do. I mean, artists. And the question is, my question is, okay, what are the collective consequences of all of that? And if we can have raise a kind of collective awareness on the situation in which we are, with the fact that this doesn't produce a new turn, but it just turns its gaze towards something that it ignored for a while in terms of its own constitution. And that's the moment of the institutions, I would say. Yeah, I mean, that's just my humble kind of...
Are there other comments or questions or thoughts that one would like to share?
Well, I already had my introduction for the end 5 minutes ago, but thank you anyway for the question. As I said, it's a bit strange to close it like this, but I prefer, and we have background like post-festum conversation. There's a lot that's been told. Also, Sergei, thank you for the end. So this institutionalization happened, and it happened also. If we think of works of artists that Catherine mentioned yesterday, like Gina Pane, Chris Burden, Martha Lowe, they're in the collection a long time, and it's good they are in the collections in a way. So it's more, as you said, and I think also your intervention was good, is think about the consequences, the moments of the margins, what we can do, what can we do, us working institution, what the artists do, what can we do together, the responsibilities that we have to take and haven't taken, will take. And I think this was the reason of the gathering. It was really being aware what is happening and how to do the best that we can and how to think through all of this without, and I will propose again the Mladen Stilinovic action plan 1-3-5 empty and just go onward. So thank you very much to everyone for those fantastic 3 days. Thank you.